Good morning, doctor. Appreciate your time. And Michigan Mama News, appreciate your time also.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm really excited to be here.
Awesome. Well, appreciate you being here. And I know we're talking about the winter sun dangers, and I guess it's something that we just don't think of. So why is it important to practice sun safety habits year-round?
Right? So hard to imagine on gloomy days like you have in Michigan. I'm right outside of Chicago. But believe it or not, the sun does not take any time off, even if it's winter. And even if there is a significant cloud cover, and we have beautiful sunny days in the winter, of course, as well, the UVA and UVB radiation still will make it to our skin. And that is ultimately the culprit for the development of skin cancers, most importantly, melanoma. So it's really important to talk about this. And I'm very grateful that you invited me to come to you today to talk about sun safety, especially in the winter.
Absolutely. Now, in Michigan here, we have had so many gloomy days. We wonder if we'll ever see the sun again right now.
I know, right? But believe it or not, you actually get a double effect because you, just like we do here in Chicago, have a lot of sun-covered areas in your state. And that actually means that the sun finds a way to double up on you because you will have almost like a mirror-like reflection of the UVA and UVB radiation from the sun, from the snow-covered surfaces. And so ultimately, the exposure to these radiations is actually more significant in the winter than it might be in the summer. So I'm so grateful that you're raising awareness for that to be an issue, even on a gloomy winter day like today.
Boy, that's very interesting, and who would have thought? So I guess, what is melanoma and how can it be detected?
Yeah, so melanoma gets its name from the so-called melanocytes, and they're the pigment-carrying cells within our body. And they ultimately give rise to the development of this cancer, the skin cancer, melanoma. What makes it so dangerous is that it can rapidly grow into the depth of our skin and gain access to the areas that carry our blood vessels and our lymphoid channels. And those melanocytes that are now cancerous can travel to other areas in our body. They typically start with the local lymph nodes first, and from there they can spread to your vital organs like your lung, your liver, your bone, or even your brain. And that is ultimately how people succumb of this, historically extremely dangerous and very fatal illness.
What can we do to protect ourselves from skin cancer?
Right? It all sounds so scary. Well, the biggest thing in cancer in general is avoidance, right? We always preach about don't smoke and you can significantly reduce your risk of lung cancer. Well, it's kind of similar. The UVA and UVB radiation from the sun are carcinogens, so they induce cancers, and so avoidance is definitely helpful. Now, I'm not here to say you should not be out in the sun. That would be counterproductive because the sun has a lot of positive effects on our mood and we create our vitamin D that way. So being outdoors and being in the sun is really important for us. It's all about protection. And what I tell my patients is it's about protecting yourself from the inflammatory effects of the sun. So sunburn, right? And how do we prevent sunburn? Is your sunscreens. You go to your local pharmacy, to your local grocery store. Many different products are available. They're actually very well comparable now and very well regulated by the FDA. It's not so much the SPF number that you see on the bottle that matters. What is most important is that you reapply it. They will only be effective on the surface of your skin for about 2 to 3 hours. And so remember, as you're out on your beautiful Michigan ski mountain skiing, by the time the noon hour hits, you got to reapply your sunscreen on the sun-exposed areas to really minimize the effects of this UVA and UVB exposure. Many manufacturers now also produce SPF-proof clothing, which are, of course, super effective because you only put them on once. You don't have to reapply them, right? And maybe another word about indoor tanning, which a lot of people will resort to, especially in the winter months. Very big no-no. The exposure to the dangerous UVA and UVB radiation is multiplied in these sun tanning beds compared to the sunlight. And so the exposure to the dangerous radiation is actually significantly higher than natural sunlight. And so I would absolutely advise against indoor sun tanning to reduce your risk for melanoma development.
Some great information there. You wonder about tanning beds, and it used to be a big rave, and people are doing it now, not so much, but you still wonder on the safety of that. So, if someone is diagnosed with melanoma in its early stages, what are some of the treatments out there right now?
Yeah. So keyword early stages, right? So know your skin, bring your change of your skin to the attention of your physician. The mainstay for therapy still is surgical intervention. See a dermatologist, see a surgeon. Now, I'm here with you today with Bristol Myers Squibb, number one, to raise awareness. And again, I'm so grateful for this platform here today to reach out to your audience, but equally importantly, to raise hope, because there's so much that has gone into the development and research for immunotherapies for this illness that truly have changed the face of this disease. Now, immunotherapy, as much as it is a buzzword right now, it is not a one-size-fits-all, and this treatment can be afflicted with very significant side effects. I have a lot of experience with a drug called Opdivo that I have personally invested my career in studying. It's really a sea change for the treatment options, and it's not only for advanced melanoma, that was where it was initially FDA approved and studied, but it is now also a treatment options for patients after surgical resection for their locally advanced melanoma, where they now receive Opdivo after their surgical intervention to reduce the chance of their disease from ever recurring. So the horizon is very bright. There's a lot of new treatment available for malignant melanoma, but again, it needs to really be a very balanced discussion between you and your physician in terms of what is the best option for you to really balance the efficacy of these drugs with their potential toxicity.
Wow, so there's options, and that's good. Now, where can we go for more information?
Yeah, hard to wrap it all into one short interview like that, right? So if you're interested to learn more about melanoma, right? So melanoma.org is actually a website that I love to give even to my patients, because, even when I spend an hour with a new patient, it's impossible to teach them everything there is to know. I spent years in my career learning about this illness, right? So melanoma.org. And then another good website to learn more about immunotherapy and specifically Opdivo is opdivo.com. It's OPDIVO, opdivo.com.
Wonderful. Well, do appreciate your information this morning, Doctor, and spending time with Michigan Mama News.
I so appreciate it. Yes, and have a good winter. Be safe.